What is up, investors, and welcome back to the Everything Crypto Show, where we bring you the latest and most important news moving the crypto markets every single day. Now, we are back today with another crucial market update, as we have been warning about Bitcoin miners being a massive risk to the price action of Bitcoin over the next half a year. And one of the miners that we were specifically warning about on the channel did officially declare bankruptcy as of yesterday. I do believe there are more dominoes set to fall in the mining industry, and we are going to break all that down for you guys. Then we got to talk about Binance, and there are serious rumors floating around. They are set to make a bid for Celsius's assets not even a week after successfully making a bid for Voyager Digital's assets that is pending approval in court. And last but not least, we had a massive data leak for the Crypto.com metaverse land that was exposed on Twitter, and since then the team has actually made a decision that has been very controversial within the community. So we're going to break all that down for you guys in this video, and without further ado, it is time to sit back, relax, grab that morning cup of joe, and enjoy the show. Happy Thursday, everyone. Happy holidays. I just wanted to ask that if you've not yet hit that sub, like, and notification bell, please consider doing so and joining the Everything Crypto squad, and I love and appreciate you all. Now, we're going to hop right in here with the question of the day, and the question is, how do you feel about the Crypto.com metaverse land data leak? Do you think the team made the right choice once the news had spread? Let me know in the YouTube comments down below, and based on my comment section alone, you guys can see that it was a very controversial issue here, with majority of people not really being happy with the outcome, and of course, we are going to break all that down for you guys. But first, we're going to hop into the Bitcoin news, and we're not going to waste too much time on the charts today, because honestly, nothing has changed. Bitcoin is still making the bear flag formation here that it has continuously made throughout this bear market. I keep saying that I think we are going to end the year below 17.5K, and I am not buying any serious Bitcoin bags until we hit that $12,000 level. Of course, this does not include my regular dollar cost averaging, in which I buy regardless of the price. But if I'm going to be buying a more substantial amount of Bitcoin or Ethereum, I definitely am playing it patient to wait for those juicier levels that I do think we are going to see in the coming months. You guys know that I have been calling for one more phase of capitulation before we actually enter the accumulation phase and the bull market that will follow. Some people don't like to hear that I think we have one more leg down, but I'm not going to lie to appease people or tell you that we're going to shoot right up to 100K from here. When the matter of fact is, although I am a perma bull, a crypto maxi, I still know what happens in these bear markets, and based on prior history, yes, there's a lot of strong suggestions that we do have one more leg to the downside. Now, I'm waiting for 12K on Bitcoin. I am also waiting for $650 on Ethereum, as Ethereum does tend to capitulate harder than Bitcoin near the tail end of these bear markets. You guys are going to notice here, if we actually go over to the Ether to Bitcoin valuation, that it is actually looking a lot weaker here. It does look like we are potentially going to break down after getting rejected multiple times at that 0.077 level of resistance. Last time we could not even get back up to that 0.77 level, and we are making our way back to the downside. And additionally, the last chart that I do want to point your guys' attention to is the Bitcoin dominance chart, which is finally back on the rise here. And whether you are a Bitcoin maxi or not, you want to see Bitcoin dominance on the rise, as this does indicate that we are approaching the tail end of a bear market. Now it's actually above the 50, 100, and 200-day moving average, and that does suggest to me that Bitcoin dominance is set to make a run back here up to that 47.5% level. Now we're going to hop right into the Bitcoin news here, and we actually covered this article when it came out back in late October, titled that miners are the biggest risk facing the Bitcoin price. And the biggest thing that I did kind of point your guys' attention to was this chart here. So I'm going to put this in a different tab so we can get a better look at it. And what this chart shows you here is the top public miners' Bitcoin holdings, actually broken down from August of 2021 all the way up until September of 2022. Now, dark blue on this chart indicates that these miners are holding a substantial amount of Bitcoin, and light blue indicates they are holding a lighter amount of Bitcoin. And with the exception of Hut 8, Marathon, and Riot Blockchain, you're going to notice that for the most part, a common theme here is these Bitcoin miners being in the dark blue in mid-2022, and after those June lows we saw earlier this year, they are actually in the light blue coming up on the end of this year. And the one that really stands out to us, one that we did warn about at least over a month back on this channel, was in fact Core Scientific, who had 9,618 Bitcoin as of April earlier this year, down to 1,051 by September of this year. And it was in fact announced about 2 months back that they were actually exploring bankruptcy, as they were not sure they could continue operating. I'm pretty sure at the time time they had under 50 Bitcoin left on their balance sheet in total, as they had pretty much sold everything to continue operating under these harsh market conditions. And even if we take a look at the total here, you're going to notice that back in April of this year, Bitcoin miners held a total of just under 47,000 Bitcoin. As of September, this number was down to just over 34.5k Bitcoin. And this can also be reflected here in the on-chain data, as if we take a look at this chart, which does in fact reflect the miner net position change, we have seen some of the biggest Bitcoin miner capitulation here going all the way back to early 2018. Now, I do actually tend to ignore this data point here in January of 2021, and that's because a lot of these miners were actually selling on their way up at the April 2021 top. So this to me does not look like Bitcoin miner capitulation. This looks to me like Bitcoin miners actually taking profit here on Bitcoin on that way up to 40, 50, and 60k. Whereas the selling pressure right now happening at 16k does not indicate to me that Bitcoin miners are selling at a profit. It shows me they are effectively being forced to sell their Bitcoin to continue operating. And it's really one of two options here when it does come to the miners. Option number one is sell your Bitcoin to continue operating. Option number two is shut off your equipment to continue to pretty much stop losing money on all the Bitcoin that you are mining. And that piece of data can be reflected in the total hash rate here, which has actually been on a more serious decline as of lately. So effectively what this shows you guys is the miners are being forced to do one of two things: either sell your Bitcoin or B, shut off your equipment, which is again being shown here in the total hash rate, as it is now on a more serious decline after pretty much being on a relentless rally even in the face of declining prices of Bitcoin. Now, we had been keeping a very close eye on the hash rate here, because what it does is it indicates something very bullish for the long term, but also a massive risk to Bitcoin in the short term. Now, the long-term prospects here, the long-term pro of this is it shows you guys that even as the price of Bitcoin declines, that more and more miners are getting bullish on this asset class. They are stepping in here and fighting to validate this piece of the network to get that Bitcoin as their block reward. But the risk this really does carry for the market in the short term is that as more and more miners do enter the space, the less efficient ones are going to get squeezed out, and once again either sell their Bitcoin or completely shut down to survive. And that is something we definitely have seen, just a massive miner squeeze over this past year, and that can be reflected here in the network difficulty, which once again, just like the hash rate, has really been on a face-ripping rally, only moving down as of recently, as we have seen a lot of miners actually shut down their equipment. And the miner revenue here, which has taken a massive blow all the way back down to 2020 levels, and it only makes sense, right? I mean, the price of Bitcoin has been declining versus the US dollar. The price of energy has been rising over the past year pretty steady as well, and that definitely has put a hamper on how much profit these Bitcoin miners can make per Bitcoin mined. So given all of the on-chain data factored in with Core Scientific, who did actually announce about a month and a half back that they would potentially have to declare Chapter 11 bankruptcy, it did not come as a surprise to me yesterday when they did officially announce that they would be going this route and declaring for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. However, they are still generating positive cash flow, and they are planning to continue mining while they repay their debt holders. So you guys can take a look here at Core Scientific stock, down at 98.59% on the past year, from being in and around that $10 to $11 range down to about 15 cents. Now, ironically, I don't know what's happening here, as it is actually up about 190% on the day. It is still down about 58.95% in the past 5 days, up 14% in the past month, but clearly Core Scientific has been struggling a lot as of lately. You can see here that other Bitcoin miners are in fact plunging, given the really toughening conditions for these for this asset class and this industry as a whole. So Core Scientific's market cap fell to $78 million, down from a $4.3 billion valuation back in July of 2021. The company is still generating positive cash flow, but that cash is not sufficient to repay the financing debt owed on equipment that it was leasing, according to a person familiar with the company's situation. The company will not liquidate, but will continue to operate normally while reaching a deal with senior security note holders, which hold the bulk of the company's debt. And effectively what this means here is that yes, they are generating positive cash flow, but it is simply not sufficient enough to repay the financing debt that they do owe on the equipment they were leasing. And this was a very common theme of Bitcoin miners actually rushing to lease as much equipment as possible in the peak of the bull run, thinking that it would pay off as Bitcoin did continue to climb in price. But what happens when Bitcoin then declines in price and the actual profit you are making is not enough to pay the interest on all the equipment you have purchased? This is what happens. You end up needing to declare for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and we're going to have to see if Core Scientific can actually raise some funds and continue to operate and use that positive cash flow to pay off their debt holders, or if they will actually be forced to shut down shop officially. So that is something we definitely are keeping an eye on, and unfortunately I do expect that more Bitcoin miners will follow suit and declare Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the coming months. And the whole time we have actually seen Bitcoin miners struggling here, Ethereum has been laughing, having switched over from proof of work over to proof of stake. And I think that this is a really big thing that a lot of people are still sleeping on. The fact that, first of all, the Ethereum Foundation effectively picked up the largest DeFi ecosystem and completely changed its consensus mechanism effectively seamlessly with no any sort of interruptions during the merge. And subsequently, they did also vastly improve the tokenomics of Ethereum. And this can be reflected here based on the actual statistics on ultrasound.money. And you guys are going to notice that had we stayed under proof of work, there would have been 1.163 million new Ethereum mined and then dumped on us by these miners using us as exit liquidity. And instead of now having 1.163 million ETH brought into the float in the past 98 days, this number has been reduced by over 99% down to just a net position change of 2,375. And additionally, instead of this Ethereum coming into the flow via the miners and then being dumped on us, it is instead being used to hand out as rewards to these Ethereum validators who are staking their Ethereum and supporting and verifying all of the transactions on the network. So a very big fundamental change to the way that Ethereum does actually operate. And we have been talking about the magic number on the Gwei meter here being 15.5, being that every single time the Gwei meter is above 15.4, ETH will flip deflationary, and the EIP 1559 burn mechanism will be burning more Ethereum than is being minted and brought back into the float. And I do expect that in the next bull run, when we actually see more on-chain activity, that ETH will become deflationary on a more consistent basis, and that a lot of people are really still sleeping on the power of these tokenomics post-merge. That is why I do still remain bullish on Ethereum, and it is still the largest layer 1 position in my portfolio, as I do expect it to remain the king of DeFi for the foreseeable future. But we do also want to talk about Binance here, the largest crypto exchange by a wide margin, who has in fact agreed to buy Voyager Digital's assets for $1.02 billion earlier this week. So the agreement comes after CoinDesk had reported last month Binance was in fact preparing a bid for Voyager's assets, and this comes after FTX was previously approved to buy Voyager for $1.4 billion back earlier this summer. Now Binance has received a significantly better deal, buying up their remaining assets for $1.022 billion, and this does represent the fair market value of Voyager's cryptocurrency portfolio. The Binance US bid does aim to return crypto to customers in kind in accordance with court-approved disbursements and platform capabilities. So the only thing to keep note of here really is that while Binance is looking to actually go ahead and acquire Voyager, that this is still pending approval in court, and that approval will not actually be officially confirmed until I believe it is early January. So we do not yet know if this acquisition will in fact go through. I am concerned that it may not go through, given that Binance already is a massive monopoly in terms of crypto exchanges. The court might not want Binance to be acquiring yet another exchange, and really just further sort of like bolstering that competitive advantage that they do already have in the market. But at the same time, I'm sure that a lot of people do want to see these customers who have their funds locked on the platform actually get them back. And I think this does make a strong case for why Binance will in fact be allowed to go through with this acquisition. Now, after this acquisition, the rumor mill has continued to turn here. As Tiffany Fong says on Twitter, I have reason to believe Binance will place a bid on Celsius Networks assets. The source asked me to refrain from sharing additional details until the second round of bids is placed to avoid disrupting bidding procedures. We'll share more whenever possible. Now, we're going to go through this article here real quick, as I do believe that it is very likely as well that Binance will make a bid for Celsius assets. I think it definitely makes a lot of sense given their strategy throughout this bear market, and it does seem like if CZ can acquire Celsius on the cheap and not only make customers whole through Voyager, but also through Celsius, and really just sort of like continue to show that he is trying to improve the crypto industry, that this would be a very smart move for him from a business perspective. So the Bankrupt crypto firm firm Celsius has attracted bids from 30 potential buyers for its mining and retail business. Celsius filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy back in July of 2022 after halting customer withdrawals due to the impact of the market crash in May. Now, since September, they have been trying to contact parties to sell its retail and mining business. According to Bloomberg report, the lawyer representing Celsius informed to court that they would announce by mid-January whether the company is interested in signing a sale. We know that Binance did go ahead and just acquire Voyager as discussed, and recently Celsius announced that Galaxy Digital Holdings intends to acquire its custody platform GK8. Further, as a part of the restructuring, Celsius is looking to sell stablecoins worth $18 million. Okay, so if Binance is acquiring Voyager for over $1.02 billion, I think that acquiring their stablecoins worth $18 million is definitely not a big deal compared to that prior acquisition made by Binance. And not just that, but Celsius won court approval to not only continue operating until May or June of 2023, but also to distribute bonuses worth $2.8 million to its employees, and the company plans to retain its employees and keep the operations running with the key employee retention program. So Celsius is effectively confirmed to continue operating, or approved to continue operating, until mid next year, but they are going to potentially take a look at getting bought out in early 2023, and I do believe that Binance would be a prime candidate here to actually acquire those assets. So would not be shocked at all to see within the next 1 to 2 months that it is in fact announced that Binance will be acquiring Celsius alongside Voyager Digital, and we're just gonna have to keep an eye on that as Binance does continue their acquisition strategy throughout this bear market. Now, I do want to wrap this up here talking about the Crypto.com Metaverse land drop, as there has been a ton of controversy, and honestly, I really wish this was handled better by the Crypto.com team. I cannot lie, I think that the way this was handled was incredibly mismanaged, considering that this is supposed to be their big entrance into the Metaverse. So we know that Crypto.com did in fact launch the Loaded Lions land here. The public sale has sold out. The private sale, I believe, was on the 13th, the early access sale on the 14th, and the public sale on the 15th. All of them sold out incredibly quick, as the hype was high for this land drop. Now, the thing here is that you actually got a pack, and it was unrevealed, okay? All you knew was that you were getting a pack, and there was going to be 1 of 5 land rarities within this pack that you received. The starter rarity being Crimson Dunes, Alluring Allura being rare, Sapphire Lagoon being epic, Molten Cavern being legendary, and the Blocked Chain being mythical. So effectively, you were to mint a pack, and then as of today, this land was supposed to be revealed whether you got 1 of the 5 pieces of land. Now, unfortunately, this did not exactly go to plan, as it was in fact revealed on Twitter that basically some people were able to take a look at the on-chain data and actually discover what piece of land was hidden in their pack before it was revealed. And people were using this information to go ahead and actually snipe legendary packs on the cheap, effectively making it very unfair for people who were not aware of this hack, or this glitch really. Call it a leak, a glitch, a hack, whatever you want to call it. The matter of fact is that nobody was supposed to know what was hidden in these packs, and Crypto.com did not actually encrypt this data enough, and people were in fact able to figure out what land they would be getting in these packs before the official reveal. So we saw a thread here from OX and Nilo. He says, a quick thread about the Crypto.com Loaded Lions land. I've got some DMs asking if somebody could know in advance the result of the reveal of a specific land. I've seen some complaints about suspicious activity, so I decided to investigate. This is what I found. And honestly, I did also see some suspicious activity. So we had the floor price at like maybe $250 at the time, and I saw some people buying certain packs for over $500, over $1,000 for a piece of land. And this definitely does look fishy. Like, why would you be buying something for over $1,000 when it's all randomized and you could be buying it at the floor for 80% cheaper? This definitely did indicate that yes, there was some sort of like bad faith acting going on, people who knew exactly what they were actually taking here from other people. And you can see here that the mint resulted in a collection ID that is identified here in the tweet. From CDC, you can navigate to the contract in the Cronos scan address. You can explore the contract and try to find the metadata. Use token URI query. So if you open the token URI, you're going to see nothing. No exposed metadata, all good. However, when Nilo came back to the contract, he found 2 First Frontier suggested on Cronos scan. And this is usually how I find CDC collections before crossing, minting, etc. This is what he says. So let's explore Crypto.com at First Frontier collection, different name and contract address. Now, same process. Open up the contract, read contract, token URI, use example 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open the given URI and I found an alluring Allura land. So what does this mean? It means that if owner of First Frontier deed number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is airdropped First Frontier land 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he will get an alluring Allura land. Lands were minted in Cronos about 40 hours ago. All metadata was publicly available at that time or less. So yes, cheating is possible. He did go ahead and report this information to Supreme Shaney before writing the thread, and he reported it back to the team right away. Nilo did inform Shane that he was going to make this info public for transparency purposes, and Shane, of course, is one of the Loaded Alliance community managers. Now, about the randomness of the lands, I validated lands have a random rarity, land 1 epic, land 2 starter, etc. Finally, I'm sorry if someone is offended or attacked by this thread. I decided to go for transparency. I have sold my lands. I didn't like any step of this mint, and this was the lowest point for me. Might buy later. I truly hope Shane and CDC team can solve this drop and make it fair to the community. And PS2, please trade at your own risk, as CDC might make it fair for everybody and design and change the rules effectively. So this is exactly what did actually happen here. Now, a lot of people obviously were freaking out. A lot of people are very upset based on the fact that, yes, people were actually buying land here from others. Suspecting people who knew exactly what they were buying was purchasing this land from unsuspecting people who did not know what they had in their packs. They did not know that Crypto.com did actually have this info public for the more crypto savvy people here to actually discover what was hidden within these packs. Now, Nilo did actually go ahead and tweet not even 24 hours later. At this point, I kind of regret being quite irresponsible giving away all the details. It created a mess, exposed many people, and impacted legit people. I hope Shane and the team can find a fair solution, and I hope they keep a lessons learned book. Now, I gotta say, I don't know if Nilo does watch the channel or not, but if you do, I don't think that you should regret giving away this information at all. This is what was happening. People were buying their land from unsuspecting people, not knowing what they were holding on to. And that does not create a fair market whatsoever, when Crypto.com should have really taken it upon themselves to better encrypt this data, to not have it be available to the public. And listen, you guys know that I'm a massive bull on Crypto.com, on CRO Coin, on the Cronos chain, but this was admittedly quite disappointing to see that the land drop did actually flop this hard. I mean, first we had that issue with the actual land sales where Loaded Alliance holders were not able to get into the queue. They were not able to purchase land. Meanwhile, people who did not own a single Loaded Lion were able to buy 10 to 15 land plots at a time. And now we have this going on where it's supposed to be random, but people were actually able to figure out what land that was hidden behind these packs and purchase it on the secondary market before the reveal. Now, what is kind of more controversial here is what Crypto.com actually did in response to this news that did come out. So they tweeted here, "Good morning, everyone. We have paused the land reveal because of a discovered issue. We will get back to the community within the next few hours with a solution. We appreciate everyone's patience while our team works on this." And the conclusion that they did actually come to here was, we delayed the land reveal after discovering that a small group of users found a way to get a peek at what their land deeds contain ahead of the reveal. To ensure fairness, all deeds will be randomized again before the actual reveal takes place. Here are the next steps for the deed reveal. Deeds trading have been paused and will be temporarily disappeared from your Crypto.com NFT accounts. Land NFTs will be randomized again. The deed reveal will happen in the next 18 hours. So effectively, any of the Crypto.com deeds that you bought are being taken back into Crypto.com's hands. They're being randomized once again, and they are being dropped back into your accounts with potentially a completely different rarity. Now, honestly, this kind of seems like the best way that the Crypto.com team figured they could handle the issue, but at the same time, this has not gone over well with a lot of the community members whatsoever. So, wow, screwing with the people who would have originally gotten good deeds all over a few who screwed the system. I feel this was not the right thing to do. And then somebody did respond here, girldad.crow, shout out to you. He basically said that you would not know whether it was a good or bad land if you did not look. So it does not screw over anyone except for those who actually cheated and took a look at the data beforehand. Honestly, this is kind of like a questionable one for me. I don't know exactly how to feel about this. I think that there are definitely some people who did have a legendary land who did not know about the metadata leak, who have potentially now had this legendary land taken away from them, and they might be getting a Crimson Dune, the lowest rarity, in return. And likewise, you might have some people here who actually minted the lowest rarity one and are now going to be getting the highest rarity one in return. And in this scenario, I mean, good for that person, but the matter of fact is that yes, it could potentially either help a lot of people or screw over a lot of people. And understandably, given what happened here with the land drop, first of all, with not getting a lot of loaded lines, the early access that they were promised, and then we actually have this complete removal of land from accounts as it is being reshuffled, it is definitely easy to see why a lot of people are frustrated with the way this drop has been handled. All I can say is that I do continue to remain bullish on Crypto.com, on CRO, and on the Cronos chain, but I really do hope the team can figure this out and come to a solution. And secondly, this game, I really hope it is an absolute banger, because given all of the controversy with this game and the fact that it has not even yet come out, I really do think this game needs to be amazing to really recapture the growth of the loaded lions and the Cronos chain and really show people that Crypto.com is serious about their entrance into Web3. So on that note, if you guys did enjoy the content in today's video, you know what to do. If you made it all the way to the end, you are an absolute champion. Let me know in the YouTube comments down below and claim that champion status. I hope you are all having an amazing Thursday, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace out for now.